Recording in progress. Progress. Progress.
Okay. I'm gonna get rid of this echo. Give me 1 second. Hey, everybody. Give me 1 quick second here. Okay. That should do it. Oh. Well, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Can you hear me okay? Oh.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Good. I got to get some kind of a more technical, sophisticated setup here, but for now it's the old phone, which works great, and the laptop. But I'm far from, Missouri Star quilting videos. Hopefully one day. Oh. So where's everybody from today?
Canada.
Oh, cool. How's the weather there?
It was cool this morning, was 8 degrees
Oh,
Celsius.
wow.
So, not very warm, but it's winter, it's fall.
Oh, yeah. We're getting there here in Colorado. It's really nice out today.
Mm.
But
This is Kathy. I'm in Maryland.
hi, Kathy. Thanks for being here. Let's see. I'm going to. Should I add the spotlight or pin? Let's see. Maybe I'll just do the spotlight. Oh, this little button. Remove spotlight. And I'm going to pin it so that it's continue. There. Can you see my
Yep.
oh, okay. And I guess you could see me too. Maybe I should like block myself. I just wanted to make sure that this is what shows up in the main camera.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I will mute and disappear.
Okay.
My husband's watching soccer, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Broncos play today at 2:05. We got our new quarterback, and so I'm excited to watch our first season game.
Ooh.
But the reason I wanted to do this quick little video today was to show you how you can do stippling and not have it be boring. I remember one time I saw, oops, what happened there? Oh, that's odd. One time I saw a post, and it was talking about how stippling was like, boring, and I'm like, I like stippling. I do it on my quilts when I have something that I need to get done kind of quickly, because I like to speed through, and that's one of the things that I can get done fast. And for those of you who aren't familiar with stippling, oh, this is going to drive me insane. Why is this so small? Shoot. I don't know why my I was trying to make it bigger. Well, if you're not familiar with stippling, it's basically an S shape. And from that S, you keep on a continuous curve and make another S, continuous curve and make another S. And then you just keep making those S's all around your quilt top. And it goes like super fast. When I'm stippling, I like to make mine a little bit bigger, unless I'm doing some micro quilting, and then I'll make it smaller. But they kind of look like the Nickelodeon splat. But the trick with stippling is to meander that all over and not go in a straight line like that. I know sometimes we have a tendency, and sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes that just happens. You get that straight line, but try to move all over and do the S shapes in all directions, going up and down and side to side. So one of the things that I like to do with stippling, maybe I should turn off that light. Is that too bright on the page? Let me see if I can go into my handy tools here and make that light a little. I never use this feature very much. I like it bright when I'm working. That's a little better. One of the things that I like to do when I'm stippling to make it go a little bit quicker, and that is to add an element to the stippling. So then maybe it's not so boring for you. And my go-to is to add a swirl. So once I start making my S shapes and I get to a point where I want to swirl, I'll just do a continuous curve from my stopping point and start to make a swirl and come out. And it's up to you where you want to come out of your swirl and start making more stippling. If you want to come out as soon as you get out of your swirl and start making stippling, or if you want to go all the way around back to your starting point, which is what I did here. And I kind of mix it around, but then just make another curve and just keep on with that design. The swirl, you come out. And when you're doing this, you can make your stippling, like I say, close together. You can make it far apart. Just make sure you're staying within the distance that is recommended on your batting manufacturer's packaging. If you want to do really big stippling, say it's like 4 inches apart, make sure your batting will stay together if you're quilting that far apart. Sometimes the batting, well, not sometimes, but the batting will tell you that it's, good to stitch within 2 inches or within 3 inches or 4 inches, so that you know that you can make a design and have a space that is 3 inches wide and your batting will still hold together. If you go crazy and make some really big 8-inch design, there's going to be, the batting's probably not going to hold in that place, except for where it's stitched on, but the blank spots won't hold. So that is one of the things I like to do. I like making my stippling a little bit bigger, like I say, and it's up to you. Oopsie. It's up to you how you want to do that. If you want to make like little swirls, you could do that. If you want to make some swirls that are together, like 2 in a row or something like that, let's just kind of snake our way back over here. If you get caught in a place where you can't get out of and you're stippling, I usually, if I'm over towards the edge, like the edge of my quilt where the batting is and my backing, I'll take it out to the backing, stitch on the backing to where I need to go, and then I'll just restart. Otherwise, if you get backed into a corner, let's say you're down here and you want to get back up here and you're not as close to the edge as you'd like to be, just do a wavy line and get yourself back out. Because once you're done, nobody is going to see that wavy line over there. Now, sometimes when you're doing stippling, the rule is that you don't cross over your previous lines. Sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes you're going along and, stuff happens. And when that happens, it's okay. Just restart and continue your stippling as normal. Again, in the big picture, nobody is going to see that little cross on your quilt top. So that's number one. I'm going to show you these three and then we're going to stitch them out. And then you can ask any questions that you like. The next thing that is a fun idea to do is to make a heart. And when I'm making a heart with my machine, you have the option of doing the, say you're going along, you make a loop, and then you make a heart, and then you cross. You could do that. I like to make my hearts so that if I'm making a loop or something, I stop, I make a straight line down, which becomes the center part of the humps in my heart. And then I go from the one side to the other. There's no rule on which side you have to do first. But those are the hearts that I prefer, are the ones that have a line, and then you make your left and your right hand sides. So when you start doing your stippling, and here we go, find a place where you want to make your heart and stop. I usually make sure my needle is in the down position. I have this sit down machine and sometimes it moves if I move the quilt ever so slightly if I don't have it in the down position. And even sometimes when I have the needle back up and I'll move it slightly and then I'll still get that little jog, but it's just something that you have to work with and get used to your machine. So we've done our stippling, we've gotten to this point, I've made my line, and I'm going to come out, make a heart on one side and the other. When I'm doing designs that are directional, I like to mix them up, which means I don't like to have all of my hearts facing in the same direction. If you want to, that's fine. There's no rule. You could do that. But I personally I think it's just kind of fun drawing them upside down and sideways. I try not to get two together that are going the same direction, but sometimes you just can't help it. Once you get to a spot and you might just say, oh, I'm going to make a heart in this direction. And then you realize after you just have one right next to it, that's the same direction. Don't freak out about that. Totally fine. Just keep on going. Get to your stopping point, make a line, make one side of your heart, come back up and make the other side. It's a really fun design to do on a little girl's quilt, or not even. If you have an adult quilt and you just want to make hearts on it, that is totally up to you. So that is the second thing that I like to do when I'm making stippling, is to do the hearts. And the third design, you can always do stippling and loops. That's fine too. If you want to do like a design, you can make a star. And we all learned how to make stars back in when we were kids. And for this design, of course, you're going to have to cross your lines to make a star. I know like on computerized and pantographs, they do the outline of a star. But for our purposes, because I'm doing it on a sit-down machine, and even if you're doing it on a long arm, when you're going to be making your star, you're going to be crossing over your points. So just kind of practice making your stars first so that it's in your brain. And then let's go ahead and start. do one stippling. Again, find your stopping point where you want to make your star and just start. And you're going to meet where you start and end is going to be at the same point. And then from there, just start doing stippling again. Stop, make your star. Stippling. Stop. Make a star. It's okay when you stop if you need to make a couple of stitches in place with your needle and then start your star. That's fine. I feel like this is easier when I'm doing it on, oops, see right here, I have like this whole straight wavy line, but that's okay. I feel like it's easier when I'm drawing it out because once I start to do it on the machine, I hesitate on which direction I'm going to make my star. I don't know why, it's just one of those things. So if you just get to a stopping point and then start making your star from there. And again, with all of these designs, you can make them as big or as small as you like. One of the things I hear with students when they're doing stippling is they're like, oh, my stippling doesn't look like your stippling, or it doesn't look like Joe's stippling over there. And everybody's going to be different. Some people will have like real skinny lines for their stippling. And then others will have the bigger, fatter lines like I like to do. And again, no rule, just make that S shape. Some people might not get that big of an S, and it might be more of a, it might be a little bit more of a wavy. The way I do them and the way I like it is to have my stippling almost look like puzzle pieces. I want a big kind of bulbous, rounded S shape, especially if you're going and, oopsie, if you're doing something that's large and you want a large design. So those are the three. Let's stitch those out because that's the funnest part. Yay. I am going to start with this lovely maroon color fabric. You know, I was hoping, like I said, I don't know why my camera has decided to make a little thumbnail of itself, so I can't figure out how to make it bigger to zoom in, but I will, let me see, video. I will make this larger so that you can see it. I'm going to turn my lights up. Well, let me see. Maybe that's okay. Let's turn it up a little bit. When I'm starting to do my quilting, I don't know why, but I like to start on the right-hand side. You know, you start anywhere you want to on your own quilt. This is just a Mary thing. Sometimes when I go to start quilting and for some reason I'll like start on the left-hand side and it just kind of throws me for a second. I'm like, what am I doing? How did I get here? Because I just like being on the right. So it's just kind of odd. Since I'm doing this on my sit down, I'm going to put on my gloves to help me grip my quilt. And it has like the little grippy fingers so that it helps me keep these gripped. And if I don't use gloves, I find that my hands are just more dry and it's like slipping and I don't have that grasp that I need. When we go to start doing our free motion quilting on the sit down, we want to have our hands at 9 and 3, framing the needle because that's where you get the most control. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to do my first S shape, as you can see there, and then I'm going to start doing S's in another direction. I'm going to get to a stopping point, and this is where I'm going to make my swirl, which was our first example. I'm going to make this kind of a little bit bigger. And I'm bringing mine back all the way around because I've got this space in here that I need to fill up. So I'll just curve my way out. I'm going to stipple all the way around this swirl here, and then come back up here before I make my other one. And I feel like this is a good place, so I'm going to make a swirl right here. You start to the right or the left to make your swirl. It's up to you. And again, as I was saying, when you're coming out of your swirl, you have the option to continue your stippling from this point, or if you need to get back over to the right-hand side because you want to work over here, then just echo your swirl back around. I'm going to choose to, since I'm so far over here on the edge, I'm going to start my stippling as I come out. Continue to make those S shapes. And like I say, I like mine a little bit bigger. I'm going to make a swirl here. Come out. My swirls do look a little better than this. Typically, I got this darn camera in my face and I'm like trying to look around it. Let's make another swirl here. And I'm going to take this one all the way back around to almost where I started because I want to work down here. And as you can see with the stippling, I'm trying to keep the same distance apart throughout. So here and here is about, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4. And I'm trying to kind of keep that consistent in all these open areas where I'm doing the stippling so that it looks consistent. And then when you see the whole thing, it will look like it is even. If you accidentally get your stippling a little close and some are far, that's okay. We're practicing. It'll come with time. So we just continue, make the stippling. And you can see here I have two that are close together, but that's okay. If you don't like that, just if you want more stippling and less swirl, then you could do that. If you want your swirls to be closer together, then make more swirls and less stippling. Just remember when you come out of your stippling, come in a curve, some sort of direction instead of a straight line. Just mix it up until you're happy with all of your S's. I'm going to make another one in here, another swirl. It does look really good though if you're doing like, especially if you're working on a long arm. Oopsie, that kind of gave me a rough swirl. But if you're working on a long arm, I know that you have the capability of making your stitches a lot bigger because you're moving the machine. And when on the sit down, I'm moving the quilt, and you might not be able to get it as large as you want to, but you have fun with it and you make your stippling as far apart away as you like. If you want to do really close stippling, let's give that a shot. Let's do some little small stipples. Make a curl in here. If you just want something kind of tight, or if you're working on, say you have a block, like maybe a a sawtooth star and you want to put stippling and swirls in the middle of it in that big square, then maybe you can just make some little stipples and some smaller swirls, and you could fill it up that way. So I don't know about you, but I think that looks kind of cool. Let's take this out and give it a look. Let me know if you have any questions along the way. But there you have the stippling and the swirl, and it kind of just kicks it up a notch. It gives your stippling a little more interest if you're not wanting to do only stippling. Now let's try another one, and we'll do the hearts. And again, just do my needle starting over here. Take a couple stitches in place to lock it. Okay. And I might just do the stars and the hearts on one instead of switching out the fabric. So again, we're going to do our hearts on this one, but we're going to start making our stippling, making those S shapes until we get to a point where we want to place a heart. And I start and I curve to, I make my straight line out of a curve. This one's going to be upside down. Do one side, and I do the other side and bring it back to that starting point. And then curve to come out of it. And just start making your stippling again. Make a straight line. Make one half of your heart and make the other half. I just think this is a really fun one. I like doing this one. I like hearts. I like girly things. Oops, this one's kind of a weird one because it was a little too close to that other line. But sometimes when you're doing stippling, you might have a spot that you just need to fill up. And if you want to put a little heart in there or another stippling, you could do that. You can come out of your heart either on the left or the right-hand side. There's no rule. Just take it around. I'm going to come out of this, snake my way out. Do some more stippling. Make another heart. And then you have a fun heart design. I have a course that I teach. It's called Free Motion Design School. And what I really like about teaching free motion is that with these basic elements, once you learn these basic elements and you could put them together to make all different kinds of designs on your quilt top. So you don't always just have to stick with one thing. Sometimes I do spirals and loops, or sometimes I just do only loops. It's like you can combine anything that your heart desires when you're doing the free motion quilting designs. And like I say, with the I like my hearts to go in all sort of different directions. So if you practice those on paper and just practice making those hearts, practice doing it in all different directions. And next up, we have these stars. So let's go ahead and work our way over, get to a stopping point. See, even though I write this on paper, once I start doing it on the machine, I don't know what it is. My brain is like, I don't get it. So I'm gonna just kind of fill in this space over here, come out with my S's, get to a stopping point, and make the line for my star. when you're making your star, I do pause or take an extra stitch in each of the points just to make sure I get a point and not a rounded edge. So if you take an extra stitch, you're guaranteed to get those points. Just keep going around. This would be another cute one for a baby blanket, boy or girl, or, you know, just anybody who you want to make something whimsical, do some whimsical stitching and you're not sure what you want to do. Think about the heart, or I'm sorry, the star. Oh, that's a crappy one because I knew I was stopping and got in the way. Yeah, you can see here I did not meet my points. But there you have the hearts and the stars. And again, these are a few things that I teach, the elements I teach, and then you can put them together once you learn how to do those designs that I do teach in the Free Motion Design School. And I just want to put a link in here in case anybody is interested and wants to check it out. The course is 10 weeks and it starts tomorrow, but it has, tomorrow is week 1. So we're just kind of basically going over the we're getting set up. So the purpose of the first week is more to, oops, did that work? Can I spotlight myself? It's just about getting ready, getting your quilt sandwiches ready. I talk about doing how to make the quilt sandwiches, the practice quilt squares if you're working on a domestic machine. And we talk about thread, tension, needles, batting. So those are things we kind of talk about during the first week. And there's a bunch of videos on different techniques to get good practice habits so that when we reach week 2 and we actually start learning all of the designs, you're set. You're learning like 3 to 4 different designs each week. And we also have like a live Q&A each week. So you can come ask me questions if you need more demos. I'm happy to do that. But it's just a fun course. I was going to let you know that you can use the code. If you do decide, use coupon code design25 to get $25 off the course. It's, like I say, 10 weeks, $375. You could also break that down into payments, 4 payments. If you do the payment plan, the $25 is going to come off the first payment. So I can't remember how much that is, like 60 something to get started. But it's a lot of fun. We have a Facebook group. You can get to know the other members. And like I say, I think, free motion quilting, you just want to get those fundamentals in place. And then I'm telling you, you could do anything. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. With a little bit of practice. I just want to show you really quickly. Let me see if I could repin this. This is something that I was working on. Remove spotlight. Is this little butterfly panel. Sometimes I just do practice squares. Oh, you can't really see it. But let me try the lights. If I dim the lights, if that works. I did stippling all over this piece. I made 2 of them because the second one, yeah, you can kind of see. I did stippling and I added swirls. And I just made them small.
You need to raise it a little more. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I see the green one now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
so I also made a feather in here just for fun, but this is all, the background is just all stippling and swirls. And I made them close together because I wanted it to be a little dense because I was going to make it into a pouch, like a zipper pouch. It's going to be a big zipper pouch, but that's okay. But it's just an idea of some of the things that you can do with free motion quilting. And it doesn't have to be boring. There's just, I think the sky's the limit. I think once you learn those basic fundamentals, you can combine them and do absolutely anything. And then your confidence grows and you're like, oh, I could even do more. So that's it for me today. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can shout them out. There's not a lot of people here, or if you want to put it in the chat.
Just wondering, you say that you start with the bottom right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you get a course, they tell you that you need to be starting from the center.
Ugh. I never start from the center, only because, well, I mean, I guess you can. I'm working on, you know, my sit down machine. And if I'm working from the corner, if I need to like kind of smooth out, I can do that as I'm going up, as I'm working and going up. I feel like if I start in the center, I might get a pucker somewhere as I come back out to the edges,
Okay.
especially if I have some dense fill. But I'm not going to say that it's a hard and fast rule, especially
Okay.
if you're working on, say, like a motif quilt and you want to start in the center. But that is my preference because I feel like when I am unrolling my quilt, I can kind of smooth it out going upward if I need to. So
Okay.
that's why I do it.
Okay, because I was reading something where the woman said that every time she quilts, she sews like on the length and on the width, so that she
Like doing an X.
like doing a plus.
Yeah, yeah. When I very first started quilting, I do remember that was like the rule. And I always did that. I made an X in mine. She did a
Okay.
plus. I always made an X. And then I did start in the center and worked my way out. But now I just find that I like working from the corner. But, do, if you, just try it and see what you like best. Because like I
Okay.
say, there's no hard and fast rule.
Because I would in the middle would make sure that you were grounded, I guess. That was my understanding before, so.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see that too. I just prefer, when I'm working on my quilts, I like to work in rows. I usually do things that are rows, and I like to have the satisfaction of knowing, okay, I've finished this entire row. Now I'm going to unroll and move to the next row.
Okay.
So I like to work in rows.
Okay, so you pin?
I do not, I spray based.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the spray based will last as long as you need to quilt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good.
And it washes out.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that.
Sometimes you just don't want to use too much because it can gum up your needle. And that happens with me. If I use too much, the needle will gum up and then the thread starts breaking.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Nope. If not, I'd love if you checked out my course. Just see if it's anything that you want to do. I offer this course once a year. So if you have any questions, you can always email me at hello@merry-go-round-quilts.com. But I want to thank you all for being here on Football Sunday. And I got like 20 minutes to get myself ready so I can watch the Broncos. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. Have a good day. Oh, and I will send around the recording also.